Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a game full of content, from music to characters to stages. I decided to take on the challenge of ranking the stages in this game from my least favourite to my number one pick. This was no easy task and took me hours to organise these in an order that I was happy with. There were many things I had to take into consideration when making this list. Visuals, audio, design, layout, and other factors too. Finally, I created a list that I was happy with. But a few things before I start though. Remember, this is my opinion and mine alone, so there's a very good chance you would disagree with my order, and that's fine. You will always prefer certain levels over others. Secondly, I set myself a set of rules when making this list, when I ordered these stages, but I constantly break the rules, so remember, I'm doing this for fun. And thirdly, even though I put my least favourite stages at the bottom, I actually like all the stages in this game. So no matter how negative I may be, remember I love all the stages. Last note, I didn't include Battlefield, Big Battlefield, or Final Destination in this list. While I like these stages, all the others are based on a franchise and have some kind of hazard or gimmick, which these stages do not. With that out of the way, I present to you my list of ranked Smash Bros. Ultimate stages from 100 to 1. Brinstar Depths. Oh, Brinstar Depths. Ever since Melee, I have disliked the stage with a passion. I did have high hopes that with Ultimate's new engine, this would be easier to fight on, but unfortunately that wasn't to be. The one positive change that came about was that you are now able to grab more of the edges around the stage. However, that doesn't fix my biggest problem. At points, you can be left waiting for Kraid to pop back up and spin the stage once more, so you can continue to fight. If you're lucky, you can jump back up with ease, but if you pick the wrong fighter with a poor recovery or the stage spins the wrong way, then kiss goodbye to that stock you're holding on to. Reset Bomb Forest! If this stage stayed in its first form, I would likely have placed this higher. However, the second form of this stage is terrible to fight on, and I have lost many battles here because of it. Honestly, it's just a personal bias and losses that have pushed this down the list, but the layout in this section is frustrating, and it's easy to get bashed about and sent flying down with little effort. Maybe the other Kid Icarus stages will fare better. Oh, wait. Skyworld! So remember when I said it's easy to get bashed about and sent down on Reset Bomb Forest? Well, that problem is even more rampant here. So if that's the case, why is this higher up? Well, that's because this stage only has one form, which is a better layout than the forest. Secondly, even though it's annoying to get smashed straight through a cloud and then not be able to grab a ledge, there is a chance you can land on the platform that floats past. It's not really that bad this stage. I've just died here a lot. A lot. Midgar! This level is basically Battlefield, except with summons from Final Fantasy, which really should put the level higher, however only some of the summons are interesting. They all alter the stage in some way, but after they do their thing, you're reminded that you're just playing on a different version of Battlefield, and on top of that, with only 2 songs. Just 2. I could overlook this if they were both good, but neither of them are particularly great, which means that I would rather play Battlefield just so I can have a better soundtrack. If Square actually decide to let Nintendo put more music in this stage, then this would likely shoot up the list, but for now it can stay down here where it belongs. Town and City! Having no interest or nostalgia for Animal Crossing means that this stage is low on this list. It's a straightforward stage with a transformation, meaning it's easy to fight on, but it's just boring. The background elements are just the animals, while the stage itself isn't particularly striking. On top of that, the music is okay, there are some good songs here, but nothing really sticks out. If you fancy playing some no-item matches, then this is a good bet, but with so many other stages you could be playing on, then this shouldn't be high on your list. Smashville! Well, you can't have one without the other. Basically the same stage, just with a different platform layout. Everything I said about Town and City holds true to Smashville as well. It's just a boring stage. Again, you can have some fun fights with no items here if you want to play more competitively. But with 100 stages to pick, why pick this one? Oh, and why this over Town and City? No reason really, either could have been above the other, it makes no difference. Wily's Castle! I actually don't hate this stage as much as most people do. The main reason for that is because the music on this stage is outstanding, so that's my main reason for going back. but Mr. Yellow Devil makes this stage a pain to fight on, which wouldn't be a problem, but he shows up so often that you spend most of your time wailing on him so that he dies and hoping he won't come back for a while, only for him to show up again after 30 seconds later. I really wished he'd only turn up twice in a match, or there was some way to set his timer, because he really is a pain to deal with on what is otherwise a fun stage with great visuals and amazing music.
75 meters!
75 meters might be one of the hardest stages to fight on, with so many little stages, moving platforms, ladders, and the big DK himself getting in the way. This stage is a messy affair. The look and feel captures the original arcade game brilliantly, but fighting here is just hard without either fighting on the top or right side of the level. One has to wonder why they didn't make 25 meters into a level instead. Bigger platforms with DK throwing barrels down would have been easier to deal with and be a more iconic level.
Magicant!
A good stage bogged down by having an annoying gimmick. The stage itself is fun to play on, decent layout, and has cool visuals. The only problem is that you have to contest with the flying men. Yes, those bird dudes that turn up and you can tag so they become a teammate until they get KO'd. Now, honestly, this wouldn't be so bad if they maybe turned up twice the entire time you fought on this stage, but after you kill one of them, it's not long before another shows up, then another, and another. This only happens 5 times in a match, but by that point the fight is over. It's highly unlikely that you'll get through all 5 and then fight some more. Yes, turning off hazards does make this go away, but then the other elements don't show up either, making this a lifeless stage.
Find me!
This stage is based on the Nintendo 3DS games that come with the console, and that's pretty cool to pull from. The major problem with this stage is that you have 2 platforms, one where you mostly fight and one where you don't. Then add in the mix the boss character that shows up and gets in the way, then on top of that hope that one part of the stage hasn't fallen away, leaving you with either a big platform on a boss or a little platform and nowhere to fight on. Depending on which of these things happens can either lead to some decent fights or ones that are pretty one-sided because the stage decided to throw an awkward situation at you.
Pac-Land!
Maybe a shock to see this not lower on the list, but I do have fun with this stage, but its flaws are obvious. Firstly, the stage scrolls left to right, which isn't always a bad thing, but you do have to deal with a bunch of other hazards while constantly moving. The most notable part of this is when you're heading back to Pac-Man's house and the speed increases, there's holes everywhere and the platforms are falling left, right and centre. It makes for chaotic fights, which can be fun, but it also requires you to remember what the level can throw you at all the time. Seriously though, where's Pac-Maze?
Rainbow Cruise!
Another moving stage, but this time with far more platforms. It starts you on a ship, then has you loop around on platforms of various kinds. This is another stage from Melee that I used to have a lot of trouble fighting on, so personal bias lowers this stage. However, the reason it's higher on this list than some of the other stages is mainly the fact that the music selection is far greater, and I no longer have to listen to the original Melee track used on this stage. Not the worst level, but also not the greatest moving stage either. The visual update is nice, but I doubt my opinions of this stage will ever change.
Saffron City!
Seems like every other person I know loves this stage from 64, whereas I've always just been okay with it. The gimmick of the Pokemon popping out the door was cool, but actually fighting on this level can sometimes be a pain. Less so now that a lot of fighters can wall jump up the buildings, but anytime there's buildings together it can be frustrating to recover from those gaps. Out of all the Pokemon stages, this is my least favourite compared to how good the others are, even if this stage has more character than some of the others. Fun stage, easy to die on, and hard to recover.
Green Greens!
Another stage with some basic but annoying gimmicks. The stage itself is colourful and can be fun to fight on, but with a low blast zone and falling blocks that basically split up the stage, fighting here is centred in the middle, unless you're trying to run away from someone. It's cool to use the blocks to stop attacks or use the bomb ones to kill someone, but I've never really had much affection for this stage, and basically when there are plenty of other better Kirby levels, this one is pretty forgettable.
Mario Bros!
Based on the original arcade game with the power block and the enemies coming out of the pipes is really cool. However, this is a stage that completely changes how you fight in Smash. You can attack people, but why bother when all you need to do is grab an enemy and send people flying off the stage? You fly so horizontally when getting hit by one of the critters you pick up, it's easy to combo someone off the stage, causing the matches to end very quickly.
Norfair.
I feel like Metroid may have gotten some of the least favourable stages in Smash over the years. While it's much better than Brinstar Depths, this stage is a weird one to fight on. The platforms are laid out in a V shape, and the stage has a lot of fire hazards that appear throughout the fight. Lava from the sides, back, and even a tidal wave get in the way as you duke it out. The actual hazards don't bother me so much, and I think they give the stage a lot of character. But the platform layout is odd. It doesn't really feel like you're on a Metroid level, more just platforms in a Metroid setting. With all the Metroid stages though, the redeeming quality of the music pushes this higher up on this list.
Hannonbow.
Sometimes we get some Smash levels that are out of left field, and Hannonbow is exactly one of those. Based on a strange DS game, the stage centres around fighting on leaves, with small tadpoles flying all over the place. It's not a bad level to fight on, but the issues occur when you fight and notice you can knock the leaves up and down. It may just be my own experience of playing the level, but I always feel matches go on for too long while fighting here, and plenty of items can be ineffective because of the mechanics with the leaves.
Balloon Fight.
Here's a stage that absolutely plays to its gimmick, but this also leads to one of the harder stages to fight on. The fact it feels and looks just like Balloon Fight is awesome. The clouds, the fish, being able to go off one side of the screen and back on the other. But this is also why this stage is hard to fight on. Though most stages you can swim, in this one you can't. On top of that, the fish can be quite annoying and seems to pull you down on mid percentages pretty easily. Add the fact that the stage is small, with mostly smaller platforms to fight on, means you'll spend most of your time jumping around and trying not to fall into the water, or get caught by the fish.
Dreamland GB.
Another stage that has an amazing aesthetic, only to be bogged down by how easy it is to die off screen. The fact you're in a Game Boy is amazingly cool, and running around in a Kirby stage going from level to level works really well, but games on this stage don't last long. As soon as you hit a scrolling section of the stage, you can easily KO an opponent in seconds. If the sides of the stage are a little bigger, then this would be higher up.
Flat Zone X.
The other stage that sets you within a Nintendo handheld. When Flat Zone first appeared in Melee, this was one of the coolest stages that game had. Then to see a new version added in Brawl was also amazing, taking so many elements from those old Game & Watch games. And now we have Flat Zone X, which used elements from both. I'll be honest, I do love this stage, but like Dreamland Game Boy, it's a nightmare to fight on, and especially on certain parts of the stage. Looking at you, Lion Cage. While I think this is a better stage to fight on than Dreamland Game Boy, there is more things you have to watch out for. Combined with small blast zones makes this a place for easy kills and tons of confusion.
The Great Cave Offensive.
Going from some of the smaller stages to the opposite end, Great Cave Offensive is a massive stage with plenty of cool elements holding true to the original Kirby games. The big problem with this stage, see what I did there, is that as soon as you have one player at the top and one at the bottom, it becomes hard to see. A lot of the time I find myself fighting at the top of the stage, which isn't the most interesting part. Maybe I just need a bigger TV, but this stage seems like it was always designed for 40-inch and above. While I have had some fun matches here, it's certainly this low down because of how hard it can be to see when fighting.
Palutena's Temple.
Just like Great Cave Offensive, this stage is bloody massive, and just like that level, it could be hard stage to fight on, mainly having the same problems. The biggest difference I find with this stage though comes down to the colour palette. It's much easier to see what you're doing in this stage, even if it's still a pain when the camera shifts so far out. The downside though is that matches will last a long time here because the blast zones are so far away. By no means a terrible stage, it's just hampered by being so big.
Fountain of Dreams.
I'm pretty sure this will get me flack, as I know Fountain of Dreams is a popular stage choice for many players. It's a beautiful stage and one of the best looking stages to get remade for Ultimate. However, that's my problem. Every single time I've played on it, I found that I lose track of my character, even more so in the Free Player Plus matches. I'd put this down to the stage looking very busy and having water as well. Maybe it all just clashes, making it harder for me to follow my character on screen? The other downside to this stage is that it's basically Battlefield, which means it's not particularly interesting like some of the other stages. A popular choice for many people, but with these problems, this stage is quite far down this list.
Bridge of Eldin.
Just imagine Final Destination but with walk-offs and much bigger. And that's basically it. Nothing really happens here, no crazy action. Occasionally the middle part will blow up, splitting the stage into two halves. The stage is more suited to 5-player plus battles because of how fun and hectic they can be, but for a 1v1 you may have a slightly boring time, especially if you or your opponent pick a character with projectiles. Have fun with that.
Yoshi's Story.
Another Battlefield clone, except this time with amazing colourful visuals and what you'd expect from a Yoshi title. The stage has the added benefit of a cloud called Randall who goes back and forth, which is nice I suppose. Honestly, the best thing about this stage is the music. Slap on some of the tracks from Yoshi's Island and have a blast, but don't expect too much else from this stage.
Great Bay.
Let's be honest about Great Bay, the stage layout is the cause of the problems for this stage. Everything else is great. Now maybe I'm basing this off a bad online experience, don't play K. Rool vs Ness here, but this stage has a problem where it's easy to camp and easy to run away. In Melee you couldn't swim in the water, but now you can, which means you can play loop-de-loop on this stage fairly easily. Hopefully this won't happen, but it's such a cheesy strategy to do that anyone can do it. I think if the water caused you to sink like it originally did, this would be higher on the list, but unfortunately that's not the case, leading to the stage being here.
Spear Pillar.
Actually a fun stage, all things considered. I love the layout between both top and bottom. However, like Great Bay, it can be easy to run around back and forth, though this is somewhat negated by the Pokemon that show up. Sometimes lasers get fired across the screen, which can help to keep you moving, and force fights, and sometimes the middle section of the stage crumbles so you can get up and down easily. The major problem with this stage is when one of the Pokemon shows up and causes havoc with your controls. Either it'll turn the screen upside down, or flip from left to right, neither making for a fun experience. While it feels like these effects no longer last as long as they did in Brawl, they can mess you or your opponent up at any given notice.
Jungle Japes.
Probably the best version of Jungle Japes. It's much easier to survive as you can now swim in the water. However, this stage can lead to some quick kills and be irritating to recover because of how much lag you have when you hit the water and before you can jump again. The saving graces to this stage are how damn fine it looks now in this new engine and the amazing soundtrack that the DK songs bring. Enjoy this stage while you can, but don't expect long games here.
Gower Plain.
Best boss element of any of them. Metal Face showing up is great. You may see him twice in a match, and when he does show up, he rarely gets in the way and actually has some cool interactions with the stage. No, the big problem here is the giant hole in the middle. While I appreciate the design being very different from most other stages, this basically splits into two sides, so you're fighting on the left or right, and mainly on the two top platforms. The other platforms are cool with the added bonus of springs, but it's rare to even use these. One of the least offensive levels to be this far down the list, but having a giant hole leads to longer fights and a lot of platforms being underused.
Living Room.
Most people play on this stage because it's flat. The obstacles change up the stage in a fun way, and most of all the good boys, though I'm more of a cat person myself. It's a decent size to fight on, and nothing really gets in the way of the action, so why this far down? Well, because other stages are just more interesting to either look at or play on. This is by no means a bad stage at all, it's just compared to the other stages above it, I find them more fun to fight on, whereas this stage is simply just okay.
Great Plateau.
Breath of the Wild is an amazing game with so many amazing places to visit in the world, but instead of going with a flying stage or having a stage in a Divine Beast, we get a tower. Now the level looks nice and you can see a lot of the world from Breath of the Wild, but the level itself is possibly the worst one of the 4 new stages just because it feels so uninspired. It's basically Final Destination with a roof for part of the time, and then it's Final Destination with a platform the other half. It's by no means the worst stage in the game, but being middle of the road is an unfortunate as the stage is based on one excellent game, with plenty of places they could have chosen instead.
Distant Planet.
Distant Planet is an odd stage. It's made up of many elements that all kind of work together, but at the same time feels a bit awkward to fight on. You have a bulb orb that comes and goes on one side, a slope that sometimes has water flowing down it, and then platforms with leaves above it, which all move. Oh, and let's not forget the onions that give items. So So yes, a lot of moving parts, quite literally, that make up this stage. I love the design and its ideas, but I think the platform layout makes this one a bit hard to fight on. It's easy to kill people on the slope, and the right side of the screen is mostly a hole until the bulb turns up. A fun stage, but be prepared to deal with chaos from the word go.
Paper Mario!
2/3 of this stage are fun, have great layouts, and look damn fine. However, this stage is let down by its third transformation. The stage starts off on land with decent room to fight, then turns into a ship with plenty of room to fight. But then Bowser's castle shows up. The layout then becomes 2 small platforms and a rotating head in the middle. The problem with this final part of the stage is that the head spins and it opens and closes its mouth. It's hard to fight here because there's just one giant pit under you, and a lot of the time you're waiting for the stage to revert back to its first form so that you can fight again. The last phase has a similar problem to Brinstar Depths, and that is never a good thing.
Kalos League!
I don't really dislike Kalos League, but it's led to some annoying moments during some matches I've played. In its basic form, the stage looks nice but isn't particularly interesting. The real fun starts when the stage morphs into other phases, which seem to be a staple of the Pokemon levels within Smash. The problem is that some of the transformations can be a handful to deal with. Each one has 2 transformations depending on what Pokemon appear. For example, the water one either causes a flood to come down from one side of the screen to the other, or it can cause the level to turn into one massive sinkhole. And that's the problem with this stage. Sometimes the action comes to a standstill, or sometimes you just die to the stage if you're not prepared for what it's going to throw at you. In the heat of battle, you're not always looking at which Pokemon appeared, and then a battle can be lost by a cheap KO.
New Pork City!
Why this stage wasn't in Smash Wii U is baffling, but it's here now and I'm glad to see it back. However, this stage has the same problems as with Great Cave Offensive and Palutena's Temple, as it's a bit too big. It is, however, slightly smaller than both of those stages, so that's a bonus. But if you happen to get this stage and you pick a character with poor jump or slow run speed, then expect to be in for a long match. It's easy to run away on this stage and camp, and having seen that happen a lot, it can be frustrating to play here. Still, if you want a big stage for a higher player count, then this is one I would recommend.
Dreamland 64!
One of the classics that's turned up in every game to date, and with good reason. It's a fun stage with a simple gimmick. The biggest problem here is that it's basically another battlefield. No fault of Dreamland itself, but there's just too many stages with this layout. Plus there's others that I would pick over this if I want a tri-platform layout. Still, slap on classic Dreamland 64 music and you can have a blast here. Just don't expect much from this stage.
Unova Pokemon League!
Unova has pretty much the same layout as Pokemon Stadium 1 and Pokemon Stadium 2 for most of the match. It does change things up with some platforms that come in from the left and the right, but don't expect much from the layout. The gimmick here is that a Pokemon will show up and cause an effect to happen, either fire on part of the stage or an energy ball that comes in and crash lands. It's actually fun to fight here and the gimmicks don't get in the way of the fighting, it's just the layout is so similar to Stadium and it's a shame this level wasn't a little bit different for the added variety.
Lylat Cruise!
I really enjoy this level a lot, so what's the reason for this to be so far down the list? Well, I just prefer the other stages versus this one. Yes, it's basically a variant on Battlefield, but flying on a ship through space is pretty cool. You could do a lot worse than this stage and you can do a lot better. But if you like flying through space on a spaceship with the sounds of Star Fox blasting out, then you're gonna have a fun time.
Umbra Clock Tower!
It becomes hard to be negative about a lot of these stages, mainly because I find most of them really cool or have had some fun moments or memories fighting on them. Clock Tower has a great design and I like that it's based on the first part of Bayonetta. There is one main platform, but then other platforms from all sides soon appear throughout the match. If I had to find one gripe, it would be that this stage starts off as one flat platform, but really a lot of stages do.
Moray Towers!
As Splatoon stages go, this is a fun choice. I may have preferred the oil rig stage from the first game, but I like the gimmick they went with here. If you run on the platforms, it'll always send you down, which can mess with you and your opponents, especially when you think you're going to run up a ramp. Its main flaw is the solid platform on the left side of the stage. It's too easy to bounce someone off of it and KO them. But other than that, this stage is a fun first attempt at a Splatoon stage, and I'd love to see more in the future. Oh, and it helps that the music is amazing.
Garden of Hope.
The stage has plenty of room and it never feels like the stage gets in the way, except for maybe that crab that appears. The level has a bridge, pot and stick that can break and get fixed throughout the match. And there's two platforms either side of the stage that act like scales. Stand on one, the other goes up while you go down. Pretty fun stage overall, right? Well, yes it is, but when the crab turns up, it can be easy for you to get KO'd as it'll hit you and send you straight up. And if you're not expecting it, he can fall onto one of the platforms that act as scales, and if you're on the other one, you're going straight off the screen. Sure, it's pretty fun to watch it happen, but it can leave you a little frustrated if you don't expect it.
Wrecking Crew.
This was a pleasant surprise that Wrecking Crew even got a stage back in Smash Wii U. So to see it back is great, and while I love this stage, it does have problems. First of all, the bombs and barrels will block most of your attacks, so get used to whiffing in this, especially if you do a running attack. On top of that, the bombs can hurt you and the barrels can fall on your head. While true to the source material, I find fights on this stage can just be fiddly. The one improvement the stage has seen in Ultimate is letting you do ladder attacks, which means you're not as vulnerable now. The stage also has a very vertical layout and can cause for a lot of chasing around the stage, especially if someone is trying to camp. Fun stage, but expect long matches on this one.
Prism Tower.
Another Pokemon stage, except this one feels a bit different as it's a travelling one. I think the stage's biggest problem is that it's rather forgettable. Most of the other travelling stages are far more memorable than this one. Not to say this is a bad stage to fight on at all, but you and your friends will spend most of your time going, oh yeah, this is a thing.
Congo Falls.
Wow, what a beautiful remake of this stage. Oh, I died. That's pretty much this stage in a nutshell. It's so good that I lose track of my character. Like with Fountain of Dreams, I find a lot of the time in a 3 or 4 player match it's easy to just get overwhelmed by the look of the stage. It's a unique stage to fight on, set on a raft in a river with platforms that will bend under the weight of the fighters, clapchaps that will jump from the water, and a barrel cannon that can help or hinder you. Really, this would have been higher on my list just for the music alone, but not being able to see clearly has left it here.
Fourside.
Another melee stage that got an amazing overhaul. Set on skyscrapers overlooking the city, Fourside is a stage that has some pretty fun elements in it, with 3 buildings acting as the main platforms, a moving crane platform on the left, and a UFO platform that appears throughout the level. From experience, I find the middle building splits the stage into 2 halves, meaning that unless you're playing 1v1, battles will get split up. Plus it's an easy level to escape on, especially if you're playing with items. You can just hop to the other side of the center building and wait for whatever's causing disruption to end.
Halberd.
These next 2 stages are interesting ones for me. Starting with Hellbird, I enjoy this stage, especially the landed part on the ship. Plenty of room to fight on and the gimmicks here work well. But that's the problem for me. While I enjoy the laser, cannonball and claw that will attack you, I also find that I've won and lost to these gimmicks more often than I'd like to think. I don't think they detract from the stage, but you have to be willing to win or lose a few based on these factors. Otherwise, you're going to have a fun time flying around this stage and enjoying the cinematic camera.
Castle Siege.
The second of 2 stages that I've won and lost on due to the gimmick. Castle Siege is a fun idea based on a Fire Emblem castle. You start on the top of the walls of the castle, then transfer into a royal chamber, and then under the castle. Each of the sections is fun to fight on, even if the top one is a little small. However, the problem here is when the stage transfers from one section to the next. More often than not, either myself or someone I'm playing with will die because of the stage losing its size or platforms. And this happens a lot when going from the bottom of the castle to the top. It's fine to know that this happens, but in the chaos it's easy to forget just where you need to stand without plummeting to your death.
Mario Circuit.
Well, while I like the idea of flying around Mario Circuit from Mario Kart 8, there are plenty of other levels which perhaps would have been more fun. I think a lot of people would put this above Figure 8 Circuit, but I find that stage a lot more enjoyable to fight on, even if it is less dynamic. What I'm basically saying is that this is a fun travelling stage, but I would have preferred a different one from Mario Kart 8 for, based on a different level, like Bowser's Castle or Rainbow Road. Wait, didn't Rainbow Road already exist?
Tamagotchi Life.
What a strange game Tamagotchi Life is. However, I enjoy the gimmick here. It's a vertical stage similar to Wrecking Crew, so it shares the same problem that it's easy to run away on, but the fact that it's less crazy means you'll be spending more time fighting than avoiding the stage. The gimmick here is that each part of the house is covered by a wall. When you enter that part, the wall goes away and shows you what's going on behind. This stage is best played with items on because it's funny for someone to jump up onto a platform only for a bob-omb to walk into them that they didn't see coming. Classic.
Port Town Aero Dive.
The F-Zero stages are fast, furious and mad fun, and Port Town is all of the above with the added fun of cars. Another travelling stage that flies you around the track from F-Zero GX, as you land on certain parts of the course and then tries to kill you by throwing fast moving cars at you. For me, this stage is exactly what I want from Smash, but I accept that getting kills from the cars can feel cheap, and especially in some places where you're stood on a platform and one just clips you and kills you. This stage is going to depend on your tolerance of those cars.
Skyloft.
I think Skyloft might be one of the most underrated stages in Smash Bros. This is a fun and fairly large travelling stage. The travelling parts of the stage switch up the platforms you fight on every time it lands and takes off. Also, the places you land at around Skyloft are fun and interesting. Really, this stage is a blast to play on, and it's hard to fault it in any way as I enjoy it. But as it's from a Zelda game I haven't played, and because I keep forgetting this stage is here, I can't put this any higher. What I'm basically saying is, play this stage and don't forget it exists.
Hyrule Castle.
Now, I am biased to the 64 stages, even if Melee was my first Smash Bros. Sure, not all of them are great or memorable, but Hyrule Castle is one of the levels that is. It's big, has a fairly interesting layout, and has a random whirlwind appear around the stage, which to this day I don't know why that's here. This is a great for bigger brawls as there's plenty of room to fight, but you never feel too far away from the action compared to the bigger stages. Sure, I'll admit the whirlwind can be a pain, and it's best and it's the worst factor of the stage, depending on whether you're the one being taken for a ride in it. But with Ultimate letting you use more of the Zelda music on this stage, this has made it better. Just try not to get launched in the wind.
Woohoo Island.
Honestly, this stage is this high up because of the music selection, and that it shares its stage with Pilot Wings, which I really enjoy. While you fight here, you see the plane flying over the island, and on Pilot Wings you get to see the island. The other reason I like this stage is because I have fun memories of playing Wii Sports Resort, so seeing parts of that incorporated into the stage is great. Seeing the Frisbee Beach or the Sword Arena is just so much fun. The stage is fine by itself, but the location and music are what really sells this stage to me. Time to dust off that old Wii Motion Plus for some Frisbee action.
Tortimer Island.
Easily the best Animal Crossing stage by far. What makes this stage fun is that it has some random generation each time you play on it. Sometimes there's lots of trees, sometimes there's one tree, and sometimes there's none. Even the side on which the boat spawns changes each time you play. It's little things like this that make for a fun gimmick and a fun stage to play on. Slap on some of the better Animal Crossing remixes and you're going to have a blast. Quite literally with some of the fruit that falls out of the trees.
Colosseum.
This stage brings out frustration from my friends, even though they're the ones that normally pick it. Why, you ask? Well, as this stage has a walk-off, that means any character that has a good combo forward air can kill you on a low percent. So Chrom, Roy, Marth, just about any of the sword fighters are going to have a wonderful time here. The gimmick is a simple one, but has enough to the stage to mix up the fight without getting in the way. The platforms rise and extend to different lengths, which can help or hinder you. The stage was a popular choice for a while, but I think my friends have started to cotton on to my tactics.
Arena Ferox.
Another Fire Emblem stage, and a slightly better one at that. Imagine Pokemon Stadium, but set in the world of Fire Emblem, and you basically have an idea of how this stage works. It has 4 transformations, each bringing a different platform layout as well as some breakables. Most of the transformations are good, however there is one that can mess up your game as it has solid platforms and can lead to you bouncing up and down for quite some time if you're on the higher percentage. Or, if you're good, then you can use it to stop yourself from dying and practice your tech skills. Either way, you're going to have a fairly decent time fighting here, just remember to not get stuck bouncing up and down.
Hyrule Temple.
Now I know this is a personal favourite for many a fan of Smash series, the biggest stage in Melee and a lot of fun for casual fans of the game. But for me, as much as I enjoy the fight here on this stage, I'm just a little burnt out over the years as it's been in every game since Melee. Why is it so popular? Well, simple really. It's a big stage that's designed with different areas, but are all fun to fight in. What usually happens here is you start off by fighting at the top, and as soon as someone is on a higher percent, they run to the bottom of the stage to hopefully not die. Rinse and repeat. While I've had some memorable matches on this stage, I've also lost games here I felt like I should have won, and that's why this stage is here on this list. It'll always be a classic for Smash, but I would be okay seeing this stage get retired for at least one game in the future.
Mario Galaxy!
A personal favourite of mine just for the design of the stage alone. It's a pretty stage, but not too in your face you can't see what's going on. Looking at you, Fountain! The gimmick here is that the stage is rounded and the gravity affects projectiles and other attacks, which as someone who does play with items on, this can be a real laugh. It's also a nice size for bigger fights, so you have decent room to fight without becoming a tennis ball. I however do find that since the original version in Wii U, it seems easier to be killed off the sides now. In Wii U you could go pretty far off to the left and right, which is one of the cooler features of this stage, but it seems they have reduced this in Ultimate. Either that, or I'm just dying more on this stage. Probably the first option.
Picto Chat 2!
This stage is just really cool. I love levels in Smash that are based on games or apps that you don't expect, and this is exactly one of those stages. It starts like Final Destination, but then the fun soon starts as the level draws different objects and obstacles for you to fight with and use to your advantage. Sometimes it'll be a pair of boots crossing the screen, sometimes it'll be dolphins, maybe even pipes everywhere. No matter what the drawing is, each one adds a unique twist for the time it's on screen. Yes, a couple of them are hard to avoid or are awkward. The whirlwind is mad and the giant tap is just about 30 seconds of trying to stay alive. But the variety keeps the stage interesting for the game at hand. Just be prepared to learn what each drawing does, because some of them will kill you if you're not expecting the outcome.
Figure 8 Circuit!
Another unpopular opinion, but I do love this Mario Kart stage more than Mario Circuit. I'll be honest, I do have bias for a lot of the Brawl stages as well. Why do I love this stage so much then, when it's just a generic figure 8 stage? Well, because when this was introduced back in Brawl, it was the first Mario Kart level, and I loved the idea of fighting in the middle of a race. So basically nostalgia is the main factor for this stage being so high up for me. The layout is unique, and the cars racing around the track are obvious, and give the players enough time to react to them coming. Plus the map on the board in the background even shows you where the cars are, which is super cool. With a great music selection, fun gimmick, and enough room to battle it out, the stage is always a good choice. Just try not to get flattened by the raging Shy Guy drivers.
Brinstar!
A divisive stage, no doubt, but Brinstar is a classic and it's far superior to its Melee counterpart, Brinstar Depths. So the layout is slightly wonky battlefield, which doesn't make it special, but what's cool is the breakables here. The left and right platform can be broken to change the angle. There's also the stuff, goo, whatever it is that breaks on the floor that causes the stage to split in half, which is also a neat idea. The biggest and most obvious gimmick that causes people to like or dislike this stage is the lava that rises from the bottom. Sometimes it'll only come up so far, sometimes it'll cover most of the stage, and while it can be annoying and slow matches down, it never lasts too long before it recedes again and the match can continue. This will certainly be a stage that will make or break your friends, and if it breaks them then they weren't the right friends for you anyway. Go find more.
Spirit Train!
I think I have a thing for the moving stages, but I enjoy fighting here, and the HD version of the stage is amazing. Such an upgrade over the original 3DS. You fight on a moving train while Link, if no one's playing Toon Link, drives the train. The gimmick here is that the back of the train will change its platform so that it keeps things fresh throughout the fight. On top of that, dark trains will appear on the track and will act as extra platforms while also pushing the train in one direction or the other. The camera on the stage is pretty dynamic and the edges of the stage move a lot, which can be a pain if you're not used to fighting here. And that's its one downfall, is that there's a lot to remember when fighting here, understanding how the train works and not getting caught falling onto the track and getting KO'd. Expect some strange or early KOs or even some unexpected ones until you or your friends have figured out everything the stage has to offer.
Windy Hill Zone!
Both the Sonic stages in this game are excellent. Windy Hill has one thing against it that holds it back from being amazing though, and that's that it's from a game that no one played on Wii U. The stage is a decent size, looks good, and has fun gimmicks. It even feels like a Sonic stage, but because it's from Sonic Lost World, it gets overshadowed by Green Hill Zone. Now, if you overlook that, you'll see that this is a fun stage to play on. You have bumpers and spinning platforms that add variety to the stage. And with an amazing array of songs to pick from, you're sure to have a good time. Now, when are we getting Chemical Plant Zone?
Princess Peach's Castle.
Another stage that got quite the upgrade in Ultimate. A fairly easy stage to fight on with some fun gimmicks. First off is the coloured switches that will add blocks and platforms to the stage, adding extra places to fight or help you survive when trying to recover. The other one involves bonsai bills flying into the castle and blowing up, preferably taking your opponent in the process. The stage is simple to play on, but because the middle of the stage acts as a wall, sometimes it will feel like the stage is split in two. Plus it's very easy to run away on the stage and avoid most hazards. This stage is great for 4-player plus, as you can have 2 fights going on both sides of the building. Just expect the fight to slow down when it's a 1v1.
Venom.
In design, this is my favourite Star Fox stage. I love the fact that the ship is flying towards the screen, so you get to see all the wings which act as the platforms for the stage. However, this stage, like Peach's Castle, has the problem of being split down the middle with a wall. Plus on top of that, the platforms are angled which can make it tough to fight on. But regardless of these issues, this is a stage that I find is underrated, and I've personally had some memorable games here. It's great for dunking people straight down the hole.
Super Happy Tree.
Well, they could have called this Yoshi Story 64, but I suppose Super Happy Tree is different enough to not cause confusion. I think this is a much better version than the one they made for Melee, Yoshi Story in Ultimate. The reason for this is simple. It's bigger, it's not like a standard battlefield, and it has the cool cloud platforms on either side of the screen. In fact, this stage is a lot bigger than you would think because of those clouds. Now, normally this would cause people to camp, but the clouds only last so long before they fade away, meaning that you can't stay there forever. This is one of the better Battlefield style levels and has a giant happy tree in the background, so what's not to love, eh?
Suzaku Castle.
What a great place to have set a Smash level. I know some people would have preferred the airport or the port from Street Fighter, but I love that this is based on Ryu's stage from the game. It's a slightly odd layout with bigger platforms on the right and a couple of small ones on the left, but this stage wins me over with how amazing the music is here. All of the remixes work nicely and work well in Smash Bros. You can find the left part of the stage a bit unused at times, but it's something I can look past for this enjoyable stage. Now go out there and become the warrior you were born to be.
Pokemon Stadium 2.
Probably considered one of the favourites by many people, and with a good reason. The setting for Pokemon Stadium 2 works well with the crowd around the arena, giant scoreboard and an ever-changing stage. They decided to upgrade the transformations this time round and have them change up play drastically compared to the first stadium. I love the transformations, but you have to have a tolerance for some of them as they can help and hinder you. For example, the ice one will cause you to slip, making it harder to slow down or stop. The best of these is the air transformation, which causes your characters to fall slowly, meaning you can have air battles for longer, which is very cool. There aren't many Pokemon stages that come close to this one, except
Pokemon Stadium.
Well, they're pretty much identical, aren't they? So why is this above the second incarnation? Simply that its transformations are just a little less chaotic. And that's it. There's no big jump in quality or lack of fun. Simply the fact that it's just a tad easier to keep fighting on this stage. Stadium 2 has a cooler look for its transformations, whereas the first ones are a little dull in comparison. But when it comes to fighting, Stadium keeps the fight going more fluently rather than having your character fly or skid around the stage too much.
On it!
This stage is amazing! I've always loved this stage since I first played on it in Melee. What makes it so fun is how the level is built around the buildings, trees, awnings and the telegraph wires. It has a unique feel to the stage that no other one has. It also helps that I have some great matches here. Well, for me anyway, I can't say the same for my friends. The biggest thing to remember here is to avoid the cars that drive past, as they can hit for a high % of damage if you get smashed into them. But if you're a smart player, you will throw or punch your opponent onto the cars as they zoom past. Even though I have never played Earthbound, On It will remain as one of the coolest and unique stages in Smash that I've had the pleasure of fighting on.
Delfino Plaza.
Back in Brawl, I was never the biggest fan of this stage, but over the years I've learnt to appreciate it. Part of that is down to the music selection this stage had. I don't like the music in Super Mario Sunshine, but in Ultimate I have all of the Mario music to choose from. I will at least give the tracks from that game a chance to appear. Small chance. Very small chance. The stage itself is a travelling stage, but certainly one of the best ones in the game. The stage flies around in a battlefield type layout and lands around Isle Delfino in locations seen in Sunshine. Apart from the mild annoyance of the water sections, the stage really has little to no flaws. So get your sunglasses on, we're going for a fun-filled time in the sun.
Yoshi's Island Melee.
Popular pick among my friends this one. Can't really blame them though, this stage is the great equaliser. No matter how well you play here, there's a high chance you'll die early off the ramp or on the right, and if that doesn't kill you, be prepared to play pinball because you'll get bounced around like no tomorrow. Tech skills required to fight here. To add to the madness, you can even play 8-player Smash here. Why you would is beyond me, but if you do, you may want to crank up those stocks because it's going to be a wild ride.
Golden Plains.
Golden Plains has 3 playing fields depending on which way the camera decides to go, which means that you get to enjoy a dynamic fight as the stage moves. The centre stage is fairly flat with some platforms, the right side has holes to fall down as well as scale style platforms, and the left side has one hole and some raised platforms. This keeps the fight interesting while also not interrupting it too much. What the stage also has is coins. Collect 100, you become gold and get a boost to your attack power. This is what makes this stage unique. You don't have to go after the coins, but you will likely collect enough to power up just through play. But the attack boost is nice and can net you some pretty fast kills. This is one stage that marries control and chaos perfectly, while leading to some fun, if a bit fast games.
Corneria.
Corneria is just an instant classic. This time the angle of the ship is a side view with you fighting along the top of it rather than its wings. This also allows you to fight at the back of the ship and even the front mounted lasers, but I wouldn't recommend going there unless you want to get blasted into the Stone Age. The stage is fairly flat, which means fighting here is easy to do. What the stage adds to mix things up are the R-Wings. They fly around and will shoot lasers at you as doubling up as extra platforms. If you're skilled enough, you can combo your opponent into a laser shot. You can't go wrong playing here on the stage, it's a nice size and from my experience always leads to great games, even though you may get unlucky and shot by an R-Wing.
Peach's Castle 64.
I doubt many people would have put this so high on their list. This stage looks unfinished, has a random bumper and 2 platforms taken straight from a roof. And it's because of all of these things that I love this stage as much as I do. It's by far the worst looking stage and does look like it's left over from a beta version of the game. But every time I play here I find myself laughing a lot at how badly the stage is made, but also how many times I've had great matches here. It's not perfect, it's not a well made level, but it'll always give me a great time. And what more can you ask from a Smash Bros game? Or level for that matter.
3D Land.
Another well made and fun Mario level. This time a travelling level and one that's easy to fight on. 3D Land is ripped straight from the 3DS and has been given the HD treatment and been chucked into the mix. Imagine like you're in an actual level from the game. As the screen goes from left to right, you fight through 2 different areas from the game. The level keeps things interesting by changing up fairly regularly, but it never gets in the way of the actual fighting, which is important with any level that revolves around moving. The elements you see here are straight from 3D Land, with various types of platforms, pipes, blocks, and even the deadly spikes that will break the end platforms. Now if only the Switch had 3D.
Mute City SNES.
So I am a sucker for the design of this level, which is why this has ended up so high on my list. Flying around the Mute City level from the original F-Zero is awesome. The level contains 2 floating platforms and the F-Zero cars on the bottom, which also act as the gimmick for this stage. Every now and then the 2 cars will be on screen and then a sign will appear above one of them to indicate that it's about to leave the screen. If you decide to stand there when it leaves, then say goodbye to that stock as it shoots off the screen with you aboard. Great aesthetic, even better music, and you've got yourself a killer stage. And this happens to be one of the best.
Mushroom Kingdom 2.
Like a lot of the Mario stages, nostalgia is why I have such a high bias for each and every one of them. Mushroom Kingdom 2 is no different. This is a stage you go to when you want to mess someone up quick and efficiently. The stage is small, has 2 pits in the middle of the stage, and the blast zones are close in. meaning that you are given plenty of ways to kill someone with very little effort. Whether that's spiking them down a hole, or off the side of the screen with a forward air, or throw. The added bonus is Birdo will show up and fire eggs, which you can use to your advantage. It's a small, great looking mess of a stage, but I love it. Now maybe we can get Wart in the game. Echo Fighter of K. Rool, anyone?
Luigi's Mansion!
I've never played Luigi's Mansion, but the stage they made for Brawl and now Ultimate is fantastic. Simple design, but perfect in so many ways. The mansion is the main focus of this level, with 3 floors acting as platforms for players to fight on. The fun comes when you start to break the mansion apart by breaking the pillars, which, by the way, can be used strategically to block projectiles and some attacks. Once the mansion is destroyed, you get some time to fight on a big platform before it reappears. There's nothing crazy about this stage, and it's probably why this gets picked a lot by my friends. While Luigi got nerfed in this game, his stage at least did not.
Gamer!
What a cool idea for a stage, and a rather unique one at that. Gamer is a stage that will be slightly different every time you play on it due to the platforms and sometimes other items being placed in different locations. The premise of this stage is you're fighting on what looks like a table in a bedroom, and every so often 9Volt's mum will show up looking to catch you, smashing and not sleeping. As one of only 2 Wario related stages in the game, this one is great. The fact it's always slightly different when you fight on it adds great replay value, and the added bonus of throwing your opponent into the vision of 9Volt's mum only for them to die from is glorious.
New Donk City Hall!
There are a few ideas you could take from Super Mario Odyssey to make a stage, but New Donk City Hall works well for Ultimate. The stage starts at the bottom of the hall and goes up to the top before returning to the bottom once more. While not the best of the new levels, it's one of the ones that I find myself playing on a lot, and especially one that gets picked by my friends a lot. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think we enjoy the stage layout, look, music and size. The stage keeps things interesting by mixing up the platform layouts as you scale the building, but never feels like it interrupts the gameplay. It probably helps that you have the joy of setting off the music in a fun order by passing by the band and Pauline, which is neat extra to an already great stage. Get ready to sing Jump Up Superstar all over again.
Boxing Ring!
We had a tradition of finishing off our Smash sessions on this stage and everyone picking Little Mac. It's less of a thing now, but it plays a huge factor as to why I love this stage. It's simple, but also works well for a Smash game. The boxing ring just makes a lot of sense, and the fact that Little Mac can play here and not worry about recovering is also a great addition. Sometimes you just want a stage that focuses only on the joy of fighting, and there isn't anything better than boxing ring for that. And no, Final Destination doesn't count here.
Shadow Moses!
What a damn cool stage from Metal Gear Solid. With the first Metal Gear Solid having many memorable locations throughout, it must have been hard to pick, but going with the first area in the game outside of the base does quite the job for Snake's home field. What I like about this level that keeps it different from the others is the 2 towers that start on the left and the right of the stage. Both of these are breakable, allowing for the players to KO on the left and right, but you have to make a decision in the fight if you want to break the towers to make for an easier KO or focus on the other fighters in play. Without the towers being broken, you can only KO off the top of the screen, which can take more effort because a lot of moves will send you upside and not up, which in turn allows for your opponent to tech off the side of the walls. On top of the towers, you have the fun of watching the different Metal Gears turn up in the background during the fight, and the classic alert sound plays if you get caught in the spotlight, all adding up for some awesome nostalgia. With a great selection of tracks on top of this makes the stage an absolute delight to play on. Oh, and did I mention you can make codec calls happen?
Gerudo Valley!
My highest rated 3DS level, I include Duck Hunt as a Wii U level, and my second highest rated Zelda stage. With the music of the same name playing on this stage, you can't ask for more from an Ocarina of Time level. What I love about this stage is that it's based on such a small area from Ocarina of Time. You have 2 sides with 2 raised platforms and a wooden bridge in the middle. The bridge can be destroyed, causing the bottom boundary to move down, revealing some smaller platforms. The best part about this stage is when twin rovers show up and cause one side of the stage to become engulfed in fire or frozen in ice. This means that you can have a field day throwing your opponents into these areas, leading to high damage or early kills. I really like fighting here, as the stage hazards don't get in the way of the fighting, but they do keep things interesting and require you to be aware when the time comes to move, or be prepared to lose the stock.
Mushroom Kingdom U.
The Mario bias returns again with Mushroom Kingdom U. While New Super Mario Bros. Games get a lot of flack for being samey, this stage is anything but that. The stage goes through different forms and has fun hazards to avoid while fighting. Certain parts of this stage can be a little harder to fight on, but nothing feels cheap. One minute you're in a castle, then you're in a standard level theme, then you're onto a valley style part with platform scrolling. This level has it all. The one annoying thing you do have to look out for is Nabbit, the little rabbit thing that tries to grab you and take you off screen. You can kill him, but he takes a while to KO, so you're better off trying to avoid him until he grabs one of you or your opponent. This is also one of those levels that I seem to have really fun games on, so that helps push this level far up the list. However, it's by no means my favourite Mario Bros. Level.
Wii Fit Studio.
So I'll be honest, this level is this high up because of the amount of times I've got outrageous KOs on my friends. I like to play Royal Crom here for their particularly good forward air combo, and watch someone respawn and take 3 hits and lose a stock. Yes, I get a lot of joy pulling that off as it makes me feel like a pro, but also get the reactions out of my friends is pure gold. Many times I've had to pause here because I'm laughing too much. It helps that this stage is both a walk-off stage and has a unique gimmick of having a mirror at the back, which actually allows you to see off the screen a bit more when you go near the sides, which really helps you see where the other players are. Though I don't recommend fighting here as you would die pretty fast, even from light hits. I also recommend playing DK here, just for his cargo throw. It's fun to pick someone up, walk up to the edge and throw them to their doom. Just ask Mark, he knows all about that.
Duck Hunt.
Another brilliant surprise from Smash Wii U, the design of this stage is why I love it so much. You get to play Duck Hunt as you fight here, and the best part of all of this is there's a reason to do so, not just for the high score. The stage is mostly flat with a tree acting as extra platforms and the same with the bush on the right side, but the ducks and the dog can also be interacted with. Hit the ducks, or don't, and the dog will pop up acting as an extra platform. This stage is the closest thing you're going to get to playing Duck Hunt without actually playing the game itself. This is a great stage to fight on with the right mix of easy places to fight and a gimmick that works well without slowing the action down. If you want to get really meta, you can play as Duck Hunt duo here and try to figure out how you're playing as the same dog as the one in the background, but best not to think about it.
Mushroomy Kingdom.
It's 1-1 from Super Mario Bros. I don't need to say any more than that. If you don't like this level, then you don't like 1-1. This was such a great idea for a stage that works so well in Smash Bros. When originally added into Brawl, the idea behind it was that it's 1-1 in the future, hence the desert aesthetic that you see while playing through this stage. The stage scrolls automatically from left to right and goes through 1-1 all the way to the flagpole and then loops. All the details from the original level can be found here with the secret blocks included. The one negative is that when introduced in Brawl, the level was technically 2 levels in 1, with the alternative being 1-2. I would love to see this added back in, as it was cool to see this one-of-a-kind level with an alt. Stick on one of those amazing remixes and go and relive your childhood.
Yoshi's Island.
Possibly the happiest stage in the entire game. It's hard not to love the design of this stage and its cartoon style. It's a simple level with 2 main platforms, but you don't fight here for the layout. You come here for the amazing music, especially both of the Flower Garden remixes from Yoshi's Island. The stage makes for a great 1v1 stage, but group fights are still fun here. One feature I enjoy is the 2 extra platforms that can appear on either side at different times, which can lead to some great recoveries, or lead to watching yourself or opponent go land on one only for it to slowly scroll off screen and with you. Or if you want to play like a pro, you can follow someone off the level using this platform to allow you to go further out and secure that KO.
Dracula's Castle.
Wow. I mean, just wow. They went all out with Castlevania in this game, and this stage does not disappoint. This is my favourite of the new stages added in, and it's easy to see why. The stage itself has so much fan service, being set in the final boss fight, but also having the bosses from the game making an appearance in the background. On top of that, you get items from candles just like you would in Castlevania, which is beyond cool. You've also most likely seen a running theme throughout this list when it comes to the music, and this stage has some of the best remixes in the entire game. Vampire Killer, Bloody Tears, Divine Bloodlines, Stalker, just to name a few. But oh my, do I love them all. It helps that I enjoy fighting here, so I get to hear these songs on a decent amount. I couldn't have asked for a better stage based on this series, and it's going to be hard for another third-party stage to ever be this good. Well, except for one.
Green Hill Zone.
Green Hill Zone is just like 1-1 from Super Mario Bros. It's iconic in all the right ways, and this is a perfect stage to represent Sonic the Hedgehog in Smash. From the art style to the music, the stage layout, and everything in between, this really is a perfect version of Green Hill. You have checkpoint posts you can touch that spin and hit other players, the stage breaks away in pieces just like the parts from Sonic the Hedgehog, and in the background you can see the classic loop-de-loop. With a mostly amazing selection of songs, ruined only by Sonic Heroes, get that out of here, you can enjoy playing here listening to the classics you remember. Hey Nintendo, where's my Chemical Plant music?
Frigate Orpheum.
And possibly one of the most underrated stages in the entire game. Most of the stages based on Metroid are cool, but involve devastating hazards that can KO you pretty quickly. However, Frigate Orpheum doesn't do that. The main gimmick here is that the stage will sometimes flip upside down and change the platform layout. The first area starts off with a long platform with another smaller one on the left above it and a moving lift platform that goes up and down. The second form is a long platform and another long platform above that. Neither form is difficult to fight on, and the layouts work for both 1v1 and higher player counts well. The stage will sometimes have other platforms appear from the sides that retract over time, and sometimes the lights will go out, giving the stage a fun atmosphere. This really is the best Metroid stage in design and music, and I will continue to enjoy fighting on this stage until a better Metroid stage comes along. Metroid Prime Pinball, anyone?
WarioWare.
Like Duck Hunt, this is the closest you're going to get to playing WarioWare without actually playing the game. What makes this stage so good is you get to actually play microgames from the game while also fighting. And on top of that, you gain a bonus or a downgrade if you succeed in doing the game. If you complete a game, you gain health back, become metal, get a super mushroom or Starman. If you fail, you take damage or get a poison mushroom that shrinks you down. This stage layout is one platform with 4 extra platforms, 2 on each side of the stage. Then when the microgame starts, the stage becomes one long flat platform. This is one of the most common pick stages when playing Ultimate, as everyone seems to enjoy this stage, and it's a fun one to play heavies on. The only slight against this is if you're trying to recover and the stage transforms, it will sometimes force you to your death without pushing you onto the stage. But this isn't something that will happen often. Now let's go play some games within a game.
Summit.
Remember Icicle Mountain? It was a strange stage, as its theme was very close to what Ice Climbers was like, but it was a difficult stage to fight on and looked unfinished. However, when Summit was made in Brawl, it became a significant upgrade for the Ice Climber stage. I love how this place works. You fight on top of a mountain, the top of it then slides down the side of the mountain, and then ends up in the sea. It's visually stunning, it's fun to fight on, and has a giant fish from Balloon Fight. What more could you ask for? This is one of those stages that makes me love Smash Bros even more. Summit embodies fun and chaos perfectly without ever feeling like it gets in the way of the fighting. The stage does have ice physics, which can be annoying, but it never feels like it hinders the players. When the stage slides down the mountain, the stage changes up the air physics as well, so you feel floaty, and then adds water when the stage is in the sea. It really does have everything here. Fun tip, the ice climbers don't slip on the ice here.
Big Blue.
Ultimate made this better by making some minor changes that make it more bearable. So you're riding on top of the F-Zero cars as they speed around the track, and sometimes the Falcon Flyer will be there and act as an extra platform, as well as cameras and minor little flying platforms. I love this stage because of its design and the theme. Flying on top of the cars while they speed around is just incredible. It feels fast and gets me pumped to get in the other players' faces and take their stocks. I'll admit the stage is hard to fight on as you have to keep moving. The bends in the tracks can mess up your attacks and the blast zones are far away on this stage. But none of that makes me think any less of it. As I was saying, the Ultimate version is better because of its changes. First of all, the hardest part with this stage when it was in Melee was when you hit the road you would get shot left and KO'd. But they changed this and made it so the cars would hit you and send you up. The second change is they pushed the camera further back, meaning you can see more of the stage, which means you can see what you're doing when fighting nearer the edges of the stage. While most other people will hate fighting here, I love this stage, and F-Zero needs and deserves the love. Nintendo, where's my new F-Zero?
Pirate ship.
Does anyone not like this level? This is in the top stages that gets picked by my friends when we play. The level is beautifully designed and the stage is a blast to fight on. It helps that it's a boat, which is fun alone to fight on, but the added hazards of the catapult, the cannons in the background, the rocks and the storm that shows up. It also helps that this is one of those stages where we've had some amazing matches on and many laughs with the catapult or someone hitting the bottom of the ship and getting KO'd. Pick this stage, pick Song of Storms, and go to town.
Super Mario Maker.
What a great idea to have a stage that's different every time within some parameters. This really is an amazing stage to fight on, and one that I have picked many times just because it's different every time. The way the stage works is that it gets made at the start of the match, and because it's based on Super Mario Maker, it keeps things fresh by changing the level every time. So one time you have a walk-off stage, or you may have a level with a bottom blast zone. One time you may get a pipe in the level, and the next you may have lava. When this level was released in Wii U, I played it over and over because it kept changing. Honestly, if you have less stages in the game, this makes up for the extra just because it's different every time you load it up. Sure, it's not completely different. You will see similar stage designs, but never the same one due to the amount of items that can be placed into the stage. Also, this is the nearest I will ever get to having a level based on Super Mario Bros. 3, so that automatically sends this level rocketing to the top of this list.
Pilot Wings.
My biggest surprise and delight when I first played this back in Wii U. While not the most popular game, I did enjoy the original Pilot Wings back on the SNES. My love for this stage is pure nostalgia, and mainly because of Light Plane, which this stage is based on, as well as the piece of music that plays while flying the plane. It all adds up to one of the best levels ever created in Smash, and the love put into this stage is incredible. The stage works by you flying around on a red biplane that flies over the original SNES area from the first game. Then partway through the level you get dropped onto a different plane which then proceeds to fly around Woohoo Island. What makes this even cooler is that you can see the areas you land in when you play on Woohoo Island stage. Not only that, but as the plane flies around you can get hit by parts of the stage that will either KO you or help you recover. I really do enjoy this stage, and while it's not my number 2 or 1 pick, this is simply one of the best stages in this game, and the amount of amazing games I've played here just shows that this stage is one of the best. Oh, and the remixes of Light Plane hit theme are out of this world.
Congo Jungle 64.
This level has been forever shooting up my ranks since me and Mark had started playing a lot more 1v1. There's not a lot I can say really, except for the games I've played here with him have always been intense, fun, and with the added music tracks like Snakey Chanty and Gangplank Galleon, the fights have only become more epic. What tends to happen is I'll pick Roy and Mark goes for Ike and we have a good old fashioned sword fight. But anytime we want to finish off our session, this level usually gets picked and we play a crazy 1v1. The level itself is fun because its gimmicks are simple: 2 rotating platforms and a barrel cannon underneath the level which will either help or hinder you. One of my favourite KOs happened on this level, which also helps this level be so high up on this list. While I think a lot of people won't play this level and think of it so highly, for me it's created so many great memories I couldn't put this stage anywhere else. Though this or Pilot Wings are possibly the only 2 stages I would even consider switching. Grab your controller because it's time to get it on with Donkey Kong.
Mushroom Kingdom 64.
I wasn't lying when I said my Super Mario bias was in effect here. I think very few people would consider putting this at the top of the list, but for me it's the memory and seeing the level for the first time which has caused this to be my number 1 pick of all time. Back when I played Smash 64, I was still learning a lot about the characters and the games they were based on, but I was well versed in Super Mario Bros. My brother had told me about a stage, but when we booted up the game it wasn't there. As we played we unlocked it and I finally booted up the level, my mind was blown. It looked exactly like something straight out of Super Mario Bros., a game I had put so much time into. Each of the gimmicks I was familiar with, the scale platforms, the pipes with the piranha plants and the power block, even though that was never in the original Super Mario Bros. Everything clicked with me: the music, the design, the way the stage worked, even the background was a pleasant surprise. And for the longest time this was the only stage that had my favourite gimmick, the pipes. Seems fairly small, but it was something I loved using and wasn't seen again until PictoChat 2 became a level. When the Smash Direct showed all the stages in the game, when I saw the level select icon for this stage, I lost my mind. After wanting the stage back for so many years, they were finally bringing it back where so many other stages had come. I could finally play the stage I loved the most again. But this time, even better looking version of it. It's not the most balanced stage and it's easy to KO someone on, but none of that matters to me. This stage is here because of my bias and nostalgia, and I'm okay with that. Others will have their personal favourites, and this will always be mine. No other level comes close to taking the top spot for me, and unless we get a stage based on Super Mario Bros. 3, probably never will.
There you have it, guys and girls. Thank you very much for watching this video about me ranking the Smash Bros. Stages in order from 100 to 1. As I said at the beginning, it's just my opinion on it, so if you've got your own opinion, let me know in the comments below. Obviously, if you want to see more content like this, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe, and hopefully we can bring you more scripted videos in the future. But until next video, guys, thank you very much.